Alrighty guys, Dos here from Barbecue Mafia, coming to you live from my backyard on a beautiful sunny Friday afternoon in Brizzy. Just about to whack this big puppy, this big brisket on the smoker for a mate's function tomorrow. So I just thought I'd show you how we trim these guys. We've got a beautiful MB2 Angus brisket, nice and consistent through the point and the flat. We're just about to chuck her on the smoker, so I thought I'd just give her a trim down and show you guys what we do and how we trim this guy to try and give us the best results with our brisket. Let's do it. So before we open this up, just a few little things. When you go into the butcher, don't just grab any old brisket out of the cabinet or you know, whatever the butcher gives you. Ask to see a few. First thing you need to look for is a nice consistent brisket. So from point to flat, nice consistent width. So a lot of them taper out, especially towards that flat there, and that flat is obviously the leanest part of the brisket, so you want to have a little bit of fat content and a fair bit of protein in that flat. This guy I pulled out of the cold room just to show you, he's got a nice bit of width in that flat there, so that's going to cook out really, really well. So yeah, that's one thing. Then also looking for marbling. All right, you want to just turn her over on the bottom side of the brisket and you can check all the marbling, making sure there's a lot of fat content in that brisket. That's going to help you with your end product as well. All right, you don't really want to go with a really, really lean brisket. This guy's going to cook for, you know, 10 to 12 hours. You want all that fat to render down and have a heap of moisture still in that brisket once it's finished cooking. So yeah, check for consistency and size, and also check for fat content in your brisket. Alrighty, let's open her up. There's no real glamorous way to open a brisket. I like to grab the fin here and pull her out, use it as a bit of a handle, and then try and save all that juice that's left in the bottom there. That's actually pretty good. All right, so there he is. Really, really nice brisket, this one. I won't have to trim it too much. But when we were first starting out in our barbecue journey, we were funding our barbecue competitions with catering, and we really struggled with consistency with our briskets. We'd cook a couple of really good ones, and then a couple would stall, and a couple would be too tight, and you know, points were coming up quicker than flats, and vice versa. Drew and Ballsy went over to Texas and did a lot of groundwork with some pit masters over there, including Aaron Franklin. And one of the things they said is to turn, and when you're trimming your brisket, make it look like your Formula One race car, which makes a huge amount of sense. You want that streamlined look to your brisket. So you obviously the point up the end, the cockpit where the driver sits, down into the nose of the car, essentially, which is the flat. And that helps with that airflow and that heat and that smoke running over that brisket, rolling over that brisket in your smoker, in your chamber, in your barbecue, really, really consistently, and helping these two muscles come up together at the same time. All right, so what we're going to try and make this guy look like is a Formula One race car in as least amount of cuts as possible. We want to make this really, really easy for you at home. We don't want to sit there, you know, trimming away for half an hour on a brisket. You don't need to do that. All right, so we're going to try and go 3 or 4 cuts on this guy, and he should be ready to go. So the first thing I look at when I trim a brisket is the fin. We call that the fin because if you cook this brisket with that fin on top, this protein on top here, it just starts to harden and stick up, and it cooks a lot quicker than the rest of the brisket underneath it. All right, so the first thing we get rid of is the fin. So there's a little fat seam under this fin here. So I just try and get my knife underneath here at the edge, and I'm left-handed, so I apologize guys. This is going to look really, really weird on video. But I follow that down, and you're just planing. You're never taking big gouges out of a brisket when you're trimming it. You're just using your knife nice and parallel to the top of that brisket, and you're planing off any of this fat, any of this protein. All right, but see how I've got underneath this fin here, and I'm just going to follow this seam all the way through. Make sure you have a sharp knife when you're trimming brisket too. Makes it a lot easier. This guy's not too sharp, but sharp enough. All right, and I'll just flick my blade down and just round off this edge. All right, hopefully I've cut all the way through. I don't need to cut a little bit more here. Just follow that seam. And there's that fin. If I can get it off. There's that fin. All right, do not throw this away. This fin here, we smoke down at the restaurant. we rub it up, smoke it, and use it for our birria tacos, for our cheesesteaks, for our burgers. We grind it down and make burger mince out of it. So this is really, really good. Freeze it, put it in a casserole later on, down the track, cube it up and put it in a casserole. This is really, really good meat. So don't throw this away, guys. So if everyone wondering, I should have said this at the start, I'm just using a bone knife, a stiff boning knife, an FDIC Ergo boning knife to be exact. They're about 35, 40 bucks. As long as I keep him sharp, he is my favorite knife to trim with, and there'll be other people that will trim with, you know, other different knives. This is just what I've comfortable with. I learnt with a boning knife, and I'm really, really comfortable with trimming a brisket with this knife. So yeah, just in case you're wondering, just a regular old boning knife that's nice and sharp. So now we've removed the fin, she's actually starting to look really, really good. You know, you can see that sort of Formula One style we're looking for. We've lopped off that fin, gotten rid of that. Now, my main attention goes to this gristly side of the brisket. I'm gonna lop that off, that whole length there, and try and round it off there. Get rid of that gristle. That just won't break down. There's a lot of fat and gristle in there. That's where it connects to the rib cage on the beast. So we want to actually like lop off this edge, get rid of it, because it's no good. It's not going to break down. As I said, it's not going to render. All right, so we're just going to get rid of that. So I try and do 2 cuts. So one through this section here, and then one across this section at the back there, just to try and make it as clean as possible. You want to sort of keep it as rounded as you can. As I said, airflow is really, really important. So I just make a little mark, and then I just try and do it with, you know, that 1 or 2 knife marks in there. You don't want to, you know, be going over it too many times. So you remove that, and then I'm going to come along this one here and try and get rid of this edge. All right. As I said, a sharp knife makes it a lot easier. So there's that gristle. All right, that's not going to break down. Sometimes when you get mince from the shop, you're going to get a little bit gristly bits. That's just exactly what that is. All that sinew and fat in there. It's just not going to break down. It's going to be a bad eat. All right, so we've sorted out that side of the brisket there. All right, now I'm just going to shave off some of this fat that's starting on the point here, just to bring it down a touch. That will render, but it'll just be a big fat cap sitting on top of your slice when you get it at the restaurant, or when you get it, you know, wherever this is being served. So I'm just going to shave off some of this harder fat. You don't need to go to town on this stuff. I'm actually going to leave all the fat on that flat there. Some people shave it right down and get rid of it all, but I leave it there just to protect it. All right. If you don't like it on there, you can cut it off once you're serving it, once it's cooked. All right, but this protects my flat, all right, and gives me every opportunity to get this flat nice and moist still. Protection from that fat cap there, and also protection from the point up the top here. All right, so now I'm just going to work on these other sides just to make them a little bit more streamlined. I'm going to get rid of this point here. I'm going to try and round it off as best I can. All right, that's, again, keep that. That can be ground down or reused again. And then I'm just going to run across this real skinny part here. All right, get rid of that. Again, keep that, reuse it. And then there's a couple of little bits on top here that are they're gonna, once they start cooking, they're gonna stiffen up. So I'm just gonna shave them off, get rid of those. I'm just gonna round this top part of the point up a bit, so it's a little bit more streamlined. And it'll be easier to slice for the boys, or for whoever's slicing this brisket tomorrow. Again, keep that. All right, now I'm just gonna, you can see a couple of little spots where I need to plane off. All right, how's that looking? Is that looking more like your Formula One race car now? A nice even shape. All right, you don't want any points coming out. Well, there's a little point there, I'll just lop him off. You don't want any points coming out of your brisket. That's just gonna get hit by airflow and heat, and you know, it's gonna stop there and cook it quicker than the rest of it. All right, but I'm absolutely stoked with that one coming out like that. Nice round profile, Formula One race car look to it. All right, and that's going to set me up to help these two muscles come up to temperature in my smoker at the same time. All right, so trimming is so important, guys. Let me know what you think, how this looks. Would you trim it down further with the fat? I don't really care, I don't really do it. Yeah, is this how you trim your brisket at home? So let us know in the comments. This sets me up, and I've got 100% rate of success trimming my briskets like this. There she is, guys. Our trim brisket. Didn't take long at all, did it? We try and keep it really easy. 4 to 5 cuts, as I said. Lop that fin off, get rid of the gristle on the edge where it attaches to the rib. Any excess fat on top, any hard fat, sorry. We leave in that fat. That fat's already rendering, as you can see, at air temperature on the flat. So that's gonna render down. We leave that there to protect it. Make sure that flat's nice and juicy once you're slicing into it. Let us know what you think in the comments. You might trim brisket a little bit differently. This guy works for me. Let us know how you trim yours. And yeah, happy barbecuing. Hope that helps.